Thank you, sir. I was saying that the honourable member from Gaul told us that on a Sunday, 90% of the news that one finds in the Sunday newspapers is anti-government. I wonder which country he was talking about. Certainly not Sri Lanka. He's been monitoring the activities of the External Affairs Ministry and been flying around and has got confused with the Sunday newspapers published in this country with other countries that he has been traveling around. And oh, thank you very much.
He looks very handsome.
Thank you. Now, his recent visit to China, I am sure would have shown him that the press freedom in that country is much greater than the press freedom one enjoys in Sri Lanka today. The way the government attacks the media is in many ways. There are inducements, there are threats, there are physical attacks, there are even killings. The honourable member from Colombo, from the UNP, who opened the debate, referred to the statistics given to this House by the Chief Government Whip as to the number of journalists who were killed. Now the question is, how many of these crimes against journalists, against media institutions have been solved? That is the litmus test to see who is behind these killings and these attacks. If the government is unable to solve even a single attack on a media institution, of an abduction, of an attack, of a killing of a journalist, then it can only mean that the government is behind all of those crimes. If not, at least some of these would have been solved. You can't say that our police force is that inefficient that they can't solve any of these crimes that are committed against media institutions. You only have to look at the status that Sri Lanka has attained with regard to press freedom. It's way down. It's way down. A couple of years ago, it was the second most dangerous place for journalists in the world. Not something that you can be proud about. The honourable member from Kandy has changed places. Why don't you come and sit in your seat and then you can ask me questions. Now, I want to advert to one example and demonstrate what I have been saying up to now. That example is a Udayan newspaper. As was stated, the managing director of which is my colleague, the honourable member from Jaffna. So that shows where the ownership lies. And that then also reveals the background and the reasons for the attacks that have been made against this one newspaper. In the last 7 years, attacks on this newspaper, the incidents are over 30. 3-0. I don't think any other media institution in this country has suffered this amount of attacks. 2 of their employees were shot dead inside the premises. Gunmen came and opened fire. 3 others were seriously injured. 2 died. That has not been inquired into, or that crime, nor has that crime been resolved. This was some time ago. If one is to look at the recent incidents, just this year alone, their newspaper distributor was attacked. Then their distribution center in Kilinochchi was attacked by armed personnel, and you know, you can't have an armed group in Kilinochchi doing this kind of operation and getting away. A highly militarized environment in Kilinochchi, if that can happen, it can only be the act of the government. And the latest of that is in the month of April, when their main printing press and the main printing machine was set on fire to totally incapacitate them from printing and distributing this newspaper. None of this has been solved. If in Kilinochchi and in Jaffna you can have such blatant attacks carried out by armed thugs and them not getting caught, can only be an indication of the fact that these are carried out by agents of the government. Now I want to get on to something more important. In the context of all of these physical attacks on this newspaper, there is something else also that goes on parallelly. And that is the vilification campaign carried out in the state media about this newspaper. Now this is a very strange thing that is happening, particularly in the daily news. And I will read one by one. Practically every day, now practically every day, there are news items published in the Ceylon Daily News targeting this Udayan newspaper. Udayan newspaper that has been subjected to such harassment, which can only be harassment by the government and its agents. And now, over and on top of that, you have the state media targeting a hate campaign against this newspaper. It's a hate campaign. It's to instigate violence against this newspaper and these newspaper owners. It started some time ago, but if I limit myself just to this year alone, one by one, several news items come. And almost all of those have to do with the military personnel in Jaffna. Now, just 2 days ago, Daily News, page 3, 4th of June, Tuesday. It says, Udayan undermining government's resettlement progress. Major General Boniface Pereira. What has Major General Boniface Pereira got to do with resettlement? What has Major General Boniface Pereira got to do with what Udayan writes? Who is he? A military official. Huge news item in the Ceylon Daily News saying Udayan newspaper is undermining efforts of resettlement. Udayan newspaper most certainly writes about the resettlement, writes about the slow progress of resettlement, writes about the fact that there is no resettlement in Valigamam North, that the government is acquiring lands just in one place alone, 6,400 acres, 25 square kilometers. Colombo is only 31 square kilometers of land, a large extent of land where people are not being allowed to resettle. Isn't that the duty of the newspaper to voice that concern? Now when that happens, a military official, what role does he have in this scheme of events at all? A military official says this newspaper is undermining the government's resettlement progress. Isn't he ashamed to call this resettlement a progress in the first place? There is no progress. There is no resettlement. And the newspaper only highlighted that, and this news item appears. It says, Udayan newspaper has published another article arousing communal hatred. Udayan has destroyed and defaced information about the resettlement process in the northern province. If the newspaper publishes wrong information, there are remedies available that the government must take. Minister for Resettlement must take umbrage at that. Who is a military official to publish in the government press news items like this about another newspaper? The previous day, editorial. Now we know much about this editor of the Ceylon Daily News. He wears high heels, and even that doesn't bring him up to any stature. And he says, same day, 4th of June, what with Udayan breathing down their necks and with the day's anti-militarist diatribe each morning. Now what has this editor got to do with Udayan newspaper? Is this, when you talk about ethics for journalists, look at your own newspaper editor, what he says about another newspaper. On the 1st of June, Ceylon Daily News, Udayan attempting to create bad image about Lanka. Major General Hathur Singh, great guardian of Lanka, Major General Hathur Singh, offended that Udayan is creating bad image about Lanka. What has Major General Hathur Singh got to do with this? Major General Hathur Singh, sit down. Major General Hathur Singh has been named in this house. He has been named in this house by the leader of the opposition as a person who is running a private militia in Jaffna. Not once, many times, after the leader of the opposition visited Jaffna with facts and figures, he complained. Even last month, he raised the issue that when he named Major General Hathur Singh as the person who is running a private army in Jaffna, that several newspapers, and he mentioned even the Daily Mirror, has been scared to publish his name. When the island newspaper has published his name.
Point of order is a topless advocate. Hathur Singh doesn't have a private army. He's the army of Sri Lanka. He saved the lives of all the Tamils. And you are
Point of order.
ready today to give works to Mr. Sambandh.
Then there is, on the 30th of May, another news item says, former IDB chairman Udesri Karyavasam is sending letters of demand. Now that's a news item in the Ceylon Daily News. Then, Wednesday, 29th of May, Udayan in futile attempt to mislead people about northern poles. Now, it looks like one page of the Ceylon Daily News has been set apart to monitor what Udayan writes and then publish information. Now, this is a very serious matter. Honorable Sajin Divas Gravandana, will you listen to me? No, I am talking about something very serious, not about provincial councils. This is a very serious issue.
Order, Honorable Sajin Vas and Honorable
This
Aswa, please sit
government
down.
not only hires people
Honorable Aswa
and physically
and Honorable
carries out
Sajjan
attacks.
Vas, please sit down.
The Udayan editor was attacked. The deputy editor was attacked physically. Right? None of them. Honorable Deputy Minister, there is no purpose in you sitting there and shouting at me. Honorable Deputy Minister of Buddhist Affairs, why don't you conduct yourself in a better fashion without sitting in that last row and shouting at me like that? You claim you are the Minister for Buddha Sasana. You are the Deputy Minister for Buddha Sasana. Why don't you conduct yourself in a better way? I am raising a serious issue with regard to attacks on newspapers. You have no spine to answer me. You have no information to tell this House as to why no inquiry is conducted, as to why no one has been apprehended. You can only sit there and call me names. That's all you can do. Then, sir,
What's the point about
you
Honorable
have your
Aswa?
He is calling the Honorable Minister of Buddha Sasana. He is the reincarnation of the. There are no. He can't even.
That's not a point about Honorable
You
Aswa.
can't
Not a point of order.
Honorable.
Then, sir, on the 24th of May 2013, this is what the Ceylon Daily News says. Udayan attempting to undermine sovereignty. Major General Leonard Mark. Now another Major General, Leonard Mark. Now all of these generals, all that they do there, now this is the third general in a space of a few days, commenting on what the Udayan publishes. Now is that their job? To monitor what the newspaper publishes? If they want to do that, let them do that. Call and tell the Ceylon Daily News, and it publishes this hate speech. This is classic hate speech by the government, and it's backed up by actual physical attacks on this media institution, and you have no shame. Even when this is pointed out in the House, all you can do is to shout. All you can do is to raise a noise. I'm asking the Honorable Media Minister, when you reply, you only presented it. You said you will reply. I want you to reply this. Is this proper conduct by the government? Use your media
Now wind up, please.
day after day. Yes, sir?
Now wind up, please, your time.
Yeah, I'm going to wind up. I will wind up. Day after day. And I have been within the time allotted to me and the time that is permitted by the shouting, I have been able to only refer to 3 or 4 news items. I have a whole file here. Day after day, the Ceylon Daily News indulges in this campaign of hate against Udayan, and on the ground, those military officials send their goons to attack the newspaper office, to burn the newspaper printer, you attack the delivery vehicle. All of this is being carried out, and you talk about media freedom, and you talk about, you say that there is media freedom in this country. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this to the only regional newspaper that is published in Jaffna? This is the only regional Tamil newspaper that is published in Jaffna. Is it because the owner, he belongs to an opposition political party? This is entirely unacceptable. And
thank you very much, Honorable.